Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And today, the movie review that I'm doing is for Bird Box Barcelona. Yep, it's the sequel to the Sandra Bullock thriller Bird Box that came out. This one is also available now on Netflix. The movie itself is TVMA because it's Netflix. I'm going to give it a rating of R. I'll give you some tips for parents here in just a few minutes. It's an hour and 52 minutes, and the movie review mom grade I'm giving it overall is a B minus. So let me explain in a nutshell. After an entity of mysterious origin annihilates the world's population, mostly, causing those who observe it to commit suicide, Sebastian and his daughter begin their own great adventure of survival in Barcelona, Spain. I actually lived in Spain for a couple of years and I was super excited to see if I was going to get to see all of the beautiful parts of Spain, or at least of Barcelona. So spoiler, nope, we don't. We basically get to see all of the trashed out everyday streets in the aftermath of all of this. It's kind of a dystopian apocalyptic thriller. It was directed by David Pastor and Alex Pastor. They also wrote the movie together, so congrats to them. All right, so let me point out some of the things I liked and didn't like about the movie, and then I'm going to give you some tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines, and recommendations for other films that I think that you'll like that are sort of similar. All right, so the list of things that I liked begins with the cast. I thought that they did a really great job. And the cast includes Mario Casas, Georgina Campbell, Diego Calva, Nyla Schuberth, Alejandra Howard, Lola Dueñas, and more. I'm mixing my gringa accent with trying to say these in Spanish. We get to learn a little bit more about the mysterious creatures, although we still don't get to see them. If you enjoy this franchise, then you're definitely going to be happy to know that the door opens just enough to offer another sequel after this one. The protagonist struggles, and we see his motivation blinds him more than his eye coverings. We also get to see some character growth, and I always appreciate that, especially, well, I was going to say, especially in disaster movies, but really in any movie. But it's nice to see his character change as he's accepting reality and discovering things about himself and what's really going on. I'm trying not to give you spoilers. The set designs are also really great. I'm always amazed how they make these big cities look just destroyed like the way that they do in these kinds of disaster movies. All right, so with that praise, there were some things I didn't like. First of all, part of the problem with this sequel is that we already know the danger mostly, so the tension isn't nearly as high as what we experienced in the very first movie with Sandra Bullock, where a lot of time was spent trying to figure out what is going on, right? So we still don't know everything that's going on, but it just reduces the tension is all I'm saying. Now, I didn't really like any of the characters. That makes it extremely difficult to emotionally connect with anyone enough to care. We're also introduced to a lot of characters and we're thinking, okay, should I invest myself in this person? And then turns out, no, we never see that person again. Or then another person comes along and you're like, oh, well, they're probably going to die, you know? And so you're like trying to grasp for a connection with one of these characters. There are some bad CGI moments. There are also some pretty decent ones. I hate it when movies make religious people look like total creepy wackos, and this movie does that. Some viewers might get confused by the jumping around in time. We see a timeline give us some backstory a little bit, and then it jumps to the current time, and then it kind of goes back, and you're like, wait, are we back or forth, or you know what the deal is? There are some serious plot holes and some questions that definitely need to be answered still. So maybe in the next movie, we'll get some more information. So let me give you some tips for parents. I don't think that this movie is appropriate for kids. There is a lot of profanity and many F-bombs, but more than that, it is bloody and graphic. There are gory deaths, suicides done in disgusting ways, lots of dead bodies, lots of blood, as I said, and violence. destruction, and it's just not a family feel-good movie that you can watch together. And it's scary. Parts of it are scary and creepy. So some of the themes that are illustrated well are survival, family, trust, faith, redemption, change, and even protecting innocence. So I always like to write down funny lines and interesting lines so that you can get a feel for the dialogue and the script writing. I didn't write down any funny lines because it really is a serious drama, but I did write down some interesting lines. I have them all on my website at moviereviewmom.com, but I'll share a few of them with you right now. So Mario Casas is Sebastian. He's the protagonist. And he says to his daughter, "Am I the shepherd, Anna, or am I the wolf?" And as the movie moves along, that makes more sense. Again, I don't want to give any spoilers. And then in another instance, the same character, Sebastian, says, "You were right. Grief can break you. I once thought I was chosen, but I was just broken." And so you get to learn a little bit about who's chosen, who's broken, and what those definitions are to the people in the story. All right, so let me give you some recommendations for some other movies that I thought of immediately as I watched this. Of course, The Bird Box. So if you haven't seen the first one, I would recommend you watch that first so you get a better idea of what's going on, especially at the beginning of this movie. You're like, what's happening? So watch that one first. And again, I did think it was really well done. There are so many unknowns about what is happening and who these people are and how things work in this world and all of that. It's called A Quiet Place. And there is mostly silence throughout the movie, which I think really adds to the tension and the drama and the suspense, because you're just like, oh, you can't stay quiet when you want to scream, during a scary movie. Fantastic, really well done. And there's a part 2, and I highly recommend both of those. And then another movie is called 10 Cloverfield Lane. What I like about it is, and just the movie Cloverfield, is that you don't really get to see the monsters, tiny little bits and pieces, but not enough to really understand where it came from, what its purpose is, where it's going, what's happening. And so that really drives the suspense and the tension in that movie as well. Now, I recognize sometimes that can be a frustrating factor because you want to see the monster. You're like, oh, like especially after I watched Cloverfield, the first one, I'm like, we didn't even get to see it, And it's J.J. Abrams, and he's the director. He is brilliant at giving you cliffhangers and not showing you what you want to see, which is both suspenseful and super annoying. So anyway, check all of those out. I thought that they were a lot of good fun. All right. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. When you get a minute, run over to Instagram and check out my movie reviews there, my information about my books, my podcast, my online courses, and then just some fun, silly stuff that I post there as well. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.